guys, I'm back with another video. This is a how-to video. It might be quite long. I've never done one like this before. It was requested on another video and it's how to make my dividers, dashboard dividers. So you can see them here. I have a set of side tabs. So here's the weekly one with the scalloped glitter edge. And then I have my today divider, which is this one with the flap. And both bits are pockets. So they're both top loading pockets. There and there. So I'm going to show you how I made them. And please bear in mind that I did not come up with this idea. The first person I ever saw doing these sort of dividers was Scrapcraftastic. I'll leave a link down below, but there are lots of other YouTube tutorials. She made them for Traveler's Notebooks is the one I first saw, and then I decided to make it for rings. She actually does do a ring divider video, and I saw ones like this on Instagram, and I realised I could make it myself. So I'm going to show you how to do it. I do use a silhouette to cut the scalloped glitter paper. I don't know how you could do it another way, to be honest. You could use the silhouette software and then hand cut it, but I use my silhouette to actually cut it. So somebody did request this video, so I'm going to attempt to show you how to make this divider specifically and these dividers as well. So first you're going to need, well, I'm going to use my silhouette, but you're also going to need a laminator, laminating sheets, the glitter cardstock, and then depending what you want your dividers to have, if you want them to have paper or if you want them to just be plain see-through dividers. I have not decided yet what I'm doing. I am making two sets for my friends who have planners. They've told me what they want the tabs to have and I'm making them. So this first set, she wants 4 words along the side and a today marker. So first I'm going to go ahead and show you how I design them on the silhouette and how I cut out the scalloped portion. Up my silhouette studio just over here, and I've already opened up the ones that I've already made. So these are the ones I made for myself. So they go in order and they have 2 today headers, because if I'm going to use my glitter paper on my 12 by 12, I'm going to use up this space if I can. And I find that the today one is the one that I'm more likely to mess up, so I print both. So, sorry, I cut both. So what I'm going to do today is make the ones for my friends. So they're going to be similar to these, but not exactly the same. So my friend only wants 4 of these. So I'm going to show you how I made them from scratch, but this is what they're going to look like. I'm going to use these as my measurements and my guide to show you how I do it. So first of all, I open up a brand new page. And then I went to the Silhouette store originally and I typed here, scallop border big. I found this one and I purchased it and downloaded it. And so now it is in my Silhouette library. You find it in recent downloads. There it is. And just double click and it will open one in the design page. Now, obviously this is entirely the wrong size. It's the wrong way round. So I'm going to show you how to change that completely. So first of all, I like to get it exactly how I want it to be. So you're going to move it to this one here, which is the rotate window. And you're just going to rotate by 270. See, I haven't been doing this for very long. I have to try and trial and error. You can always undo something you've done. It's not set in stone. So I find my best option is to size this one already. So if you go here, you can see that I've already sized it and it's sized at 7. Dividers for a planner, a personal wide size planner, are 6.75 high. So you can see, sorry, it's not sized at 7, it's sized at 6.69. So they're 6.75, but you want them to be ever so slightly smaller than that, because once you've added lamination, you want it to be that big. So 6.7 is what I normally go for. So if we go over here to the scale and put in 6.7 for the width, obviously it's the height from what we're looking at, but it is been rotated, so it's still the width. So this font that I've chosen here, I used a bold font to give me the depth that I needed. So I'm going to go ahead and type the first one, which my friend wants. I find if you do it all in capitals, it works better as well. And the bold font that I used is Arial Black. Gives you a nice thick line. It's nice, it's fat, which is what you need. So I'm going to go ahead and make 4 of these exactly the same. To do that, you go for the replicate. So she wants 4 dividers. So I'm going to duplicate this 4 times so that I have my 4 dividers right there. I need these to be on the grid. It's slightly harder for you guys to see, I think, but I need to be able to line them up. So what I'm going to do is move these over so I've got 1. Okay, so now I've got 4 of the scalloped edges that are the exact size I want them to be. I am going to just zoom in. I'm going to move this up to the line here. I'm going to go to my design page settings real quick, and I'm going to turn off the print border because there isn't a print border. I'm not printing these. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line this up with this line here. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight them all, and I'm going to align them all by the top. So now all of these are at the same height. So I'm also going to move them over. I'm using my mouse, my keyboard to move these over so that they're not going to move from the same height. Okay, now I'm going to take the first word and I'm going to do it a word at a time. So I'm going to rotate the word 90 degrees because it's going to go up here. And I'm going to make it smaller. You can sort of see that there's 2, 2, 2, and a 1. So you don't want it to be as big as 2 boxes. You want it to be just a bit smaller. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller there. And then I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to do the exact same, but I'm going to put the next word that she wants. Oh, again, sorry, I'm going to do them in capitals. And then I'm going to copy that and do the same again for all 4 words that she wants. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line these up and see if I like how much overlap there is. And actually that works quite nicely. So I'm going to take the bottom one, which is the 4th word, and I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to highlight this one and this box, remembering that this box is level with all the others, and I'm going to align them at the bottom. So the to do goes to the bottom and lines up perfectly. Then I'm going to move this one here and this one over here. And I'm going to highlight the 4 words, just the 4 words. So you click on each word, ignoring the scallops, and click space vertically. And that will space them out perfectly for you. You don't have to figure out how to space them yourself. So then I'm going to zoom in to show you how to do the next bit. So I click on the word holidays, being careful not to move it. And I'm just going to use my keyboard to move the word until it literally touches, and then I just press one more time so it goes over ever so slightly. If you don't make it go over ever so slightly, the next step doesn't work as well. I'll show you in a minute. So you highlight both, right click, and select weld, and they become a part of each other. And that's it. I'll show you what happens if you don't put them over. So I'm just going to line this one up so it's perfect. I'm going to zoom in just to make sure it's exactly on the line. And then if you click weld, oh, I must have gone over slightly. Never mind. So if you don't get it exact and you click weld, it doesn't work. It just separates everything and it does not look good. So I just undone that weld and I'm going to click on it again and make sure that it lines up better and over by 1. Connect the two and weld. So I'm just going to show you one more time. You click on the words, use your keyboard arrow to move it left. That means you're not changing the up and down point. Line it up perfectly and go over by 1, like one little click. Highlight both, right click and click weld. And it welds them together like that. So then they are the perfect size, height-wise, for your tabs. So now you can just move them all over. You don't need to make sure they're still in line or anything. Move them all over. And then this space here is where we're going to make the to-do marker. Today marker, sorry. So you're going to do exactly the same thing, but a different way around. So I'm going to open up another scallop. And this one, obviously I'm going to need to rotate it by 180 to make it up and down the way. And then the width of this, I will show you on here. The width of this needs to be about 4.25. I will explain when I'm cutting out the paper why it needs to be 4.25 when a personal wide rings is 4.75 wide. But because you're making it into a pocket, you need to leave quite a bit of room at the edge. So we are going to resize this width to 4.25. And that is it there. And then we're going to do the same as we did here with our today. We're going to pick Arial Black and we're going to write today in capital letters. And we're going to bring it up here. Now, it totally depends how big you want it to be. I quite like it as large as it can be. And I also, if this is probably a personal preference, I prefer it to be as close to the right-hand side as possible. So I am going to size this down ever so slightly. Maybe a little bit less than that. Whoa, 6,000 might be a bit too much. So I'm going to size that down a little bit. And then I'm going to highlight both. And I'm clicking align and I'm aligning them right. And then I'm going to line up the line, see the bottom of the word just here with the line of the scallop. And go over by 1. Highlight both, right click and select weld. And that will be your today one. Now, because I'm only making 4 dividers here, I've got quite a bit of space left. So I'm going to make 2 of the today because those are the ones that I'm more likely to mess up when I completely make it. And then I'm going to leave this space because I can totally use that for something else. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these on my silhouette and I'm going to show you how I do that as well. Okay, so now I have my sheet, my sticky cutting mat that comes with the silhouette. And I'm going to put my glitter paper on here. I line it up as well as I can because you avoid wastage that way. But it doesn't really matter as long as you're covering the main part where you've already planned to cut. So there's a lump there because there's a bit of paper still stuck to this from the last time I used it. So this cutting mat is actually still really sticky, which when you're cutting glitter cardstock does help. When you're making stickers, that's not so helpful, but when you're cutting glitter, totally helpful. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it in my silhouette. Okay, so I've loaded my glitter cardstock into my silhouette. So now I go to cut settings and I select all of it and I select cut edge. You're going to see it's going to cut everything. It's going to be a bit messy, but it's okay. And then I select down here cardstock. It's probably better to cut like glitter cardstock. Here we go. I actually change these settings. I go to a number 10 with my blade because my blade is not fabulous. I upped the speed ever so slightly, and I also double cut. You can test cut if you want, but I have cut these before, so I don't need to. So I'm just going to go ahead and click send to silhouette. And it's going to do that for me, and you're going to hear it in the background. And now we peel it all up. Sometimes this works well, sometimes it does not. This time it will not. Can you see this? Right. Okay, this is what I'm left with, so I can totally use all of this. So, peeling it up off of this really sticky sheet can sometimes be a pain in the butt. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. You do need to double cut the glitter cardstock, you just have to, but that can sometimes make the words a little bit delicate, so here we go. For example, the S has gone missing. Can anyone else see that? Look, the S has come off. I am going to cut that and just make it holiday because it doesn't need the S. And I don't think the S will cut very well again. Also, I'm pretty sure my friend won't mind if it just says holiday instead of holidays. So now I'm just using this tool. I have no idea what this, a pick me up. Oh, this bit's sticky, but this bit is like a little pronged scoop. I'm using that to get all of the excess bits off from between the letters. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that and neaten up some of these bits and remove the S. And I'll be right back. And I'm going to get all these up and do the same again. I'll be right back. Okay, so there we have them. Holiday, monthly, weekly, and to do, and 2 today headers. I really like the colors of these. They're going to work out really well. So I'm going to show you how to do the today marker first, because that is the hardest one, and if I'm going to mess any up, it's going to be that one. So I'll just put these over to the side. Okay, so the today marker is going to be top loading, and to do that you need to use a lamination sheet which you're then going to re-laminate. So you need to make the 2 top loading pocket parts. So you take a laminating sheet. I actually just trim off the end because it has rounded corners, the sheets that I use. If yours don't, you don't have to anyway. So the width of the pouch that I do for a personal wide rings, I'll leave the dimensions down below, but please bear in mind this is personal wide rings. I haven't made it for any other size yet. So the pouch that I do is 4 1/4, and you need 2 of those to make it the lift over flap. So 4 1/4 for both. Then I have this little bit left, which I just put to the side, and I actually use it to laminate stuff like die cuts and things. So you also need to change the height. You're gonna want the height to be 6.75, but the pouch might be ever so slightly smaller than that. So I normally cut it, go to 6.75, and then move it down just a smidge and cut that. So you can save those. Sometimes like you have tiny die cuts, so nothing goes to waste. So here we have 2 bits of lamination. Now when you laminate something, I'm just going to use this to show you. You put it inside in between 2 sheets, right? And the in between of the sheets feels rough and the outside feels smooth. So the smooth bit doesn't stick to anything, like that's the outside of the sheet. So what you want to do is to get both the smooth sides next to each other. I have many times just turned one over, big mistake. You turn both over and get both of them so that the shiny side is in the way. This is where you see how straight you've cut everything. So you want to do that for both your pouches, like so. And then I use my little mini cutting board to line things up. I kind of wish I had a bigger cutting board. It would work better, but I don't. I don't know why. So you then need a brand new laminating sheet. You need to leave space here for the hole punch. I like to leave 1/2 inch. So I'm going to move this over so that it's hanging off the edge, so I've got plenty of room. And then I'm going to take my first pocket, which is the today part. I'm going to open up my laminating sheet. And I'm going to place this, well, there's a bit of glitter. I'm going to put this one as neatly as I can and up ever so slightly, just like so. And I put it against the bottom. I use my cutting pad as a guide, but less for the dimensions. It's more for the spaces between things. So the problem when you've got the smooth side next to each other is they don't stick together. They slip about quite a lot. So you have to just be careful you're not letting it slip about too much. So I'm going to go and put this here. Like that. And then I take my today marker, and this is removable tape, and I just put a little bit along the top here. And then I'm going to look at the top of my paper, and you want it to line up. You know what's easier if I actually look at the top of the paper and line it up with what will be the top of your pocket, and then place that bit back down on top of the other half of the pocket. Okay, so I've made a mistake. Messed up already, see? Told you this is the one that I mess up. So that lines up. Fold it over a little bit and it will hold it down, hopefully. Then you need to take your other pocket, shiny sides in. I only had one shiny side in then, so shiny sides in. And then you're going to put this pocket, you're going to leave 1/4 inch between them. You want them to line up at the same spot on the bottom, but just about 1/4 inch. And that's where your fold's going to be. So then cover the whole thing up and run that through the laminator. I'm not going to show you my laminator because it's not anywhere near here, so I'm just going to go and run this through. That's been run through the laminator. This is what you get out. Doesn't look wildly exciting, does it? So now we're going to trim it. This is also where I make a number of mistakes. So I use the Fiskars cutter and I line up. Can you see? Oh, it's really hard to show you clear lamination. You can see the lamination there of the pocket. I line that pocket up with the white part of my Fiskars cutter, and then I cut it because that gives me a nice edge. You don't want to cut into the actual pocket because it will open. It won't last. So I cut into it that way, and then I do the same again for the bottom. Now, like, if I was selling these, I probably wouldn't be as happy with the standard that comes out, but for what I'm using them for, I'm totally happy with it. So the only time I change that is right here. I'm going to use the cutter to trim this a little bit. So I line it up with the other edge because that is my pocket. I do not want to cut this off. So because I've left this gap in the middle, you can feel it sort of bump into the gap, the blade. And so you feel it sort of bump off and you can just stop there. And then I'm just gonna trim this bit off because it's easier to do that then, to cut it down. And then I'm going to just use scissors to cut right here. Can you see that there? And then I will use scissors to go around this. Now here's the bit where I have messed it up a few times before. You need to leave 1/2 inch for the punch of the holes. So you can't line this up with the edge, you have to line it up with the 1/2 inch. Otherwise you're not leaving enough space. The number of times I have lined it up and cut and not left any space for the holes to be punched, more than I would like to count and more than I'm willing to admit to. So then I go around and I trim around the today. Again, I'm not being perfect or too pretty about this because it doesn't show up too well if you're too pretty about it. And then I round my corners. So I just use my scissors to round my corners a little bit. I did use a corner punch once. I managed to cut through the lamination and that was really annoying. If I had better corner punch, it wouldn't be a problem, but my corner punch isn't great. But I just like to get the rough edge off. Okay, then we have this, which is the today marker portion. And I want to make that. So this has made a pocket. Just by slicing off the top, it's made a pocket. I can't slice off the top because then I'll slice off my today. So I take my craft knife and a metal ruler. I put the metal ruler up against the bottom of the word, so the top of the scallop, and I really gently go across. I don't want to cut the words, I just want to puncture the lamination, like so. And then you can use your craft knife to sort of pick it up. Oh, this is the bit where I make mistakes and where it can go horribly wrong. Oh, there we have it. You can feel it underneath when it comes up. There we go. See, and there's little bits that don't always get. You don't always cut through perfectly, so you have to just go over them again. So really carefully. So I messed up ever so slightly. I've cut, you can see there's like a, I don't know if you can see, there's like a little double cut line there. So like, if I was selling this, I wouldn't be too happy, but I'm actually totally happy with that. So that makes the pocket. And there you have a pocket divider. Then obviously you punch your holes. I have got an industrial hole punch over there, but I'm just going to use this one. I just eye it. So, oh no! I messed up completely, guys. Oh no, I'm gonna have to redo this whole thing. Okay, so totally messed that one up in the hole punching. Redid it really quickly and hole punched it properly. You see that hole punch? Can't even see it. So that is my today marker. It's punched now. It will fit in her planner. She can put it in. And there's the fold over flap. Because we left that gap in the middle, that part folds over no bother at all. So this part is a pocket. And this part is a pocket. And that's it. That's how you make one of these today flap over pockets. You could make this pocket smaller, do anything you want, change the size, however you like it, you can do it. So I'm now going to go ahead and make her other dividers. I think I'm going to make them in vellum with the divider tabs on the side. So I am going to show you how I make these ones. These are much easier because they're not pockets. So first of all, you need to cut down your vellum. Again, you want to cut it slightly smaller than the dashboard is going to be, but not as small as with the pocket. So the width of a dashboard is 4.75. I just cut it a little bit less than that. So you got 4.75. I'd probably just move down to the one just below that. So that would make it, I'm not even sure what that would make it, but 4.75, and I'll just move down one tab. I'm making 4, so I am cutting out 4 bits of vellum in advance. So the only reason you really cut it down is so that you've got room for the lamination at the side. And then the height of your dashboard, again, 6.75, bring it down ever so slightly. Probably just double check that it fits, yeah. In fact, if you cut it at 6.75, this would be a better option. Cut it at 6.75. And then you're going to use your temporary runner again. Just a stripe on the back. And then stick that to the side of the tab. And you can see that it's pretty much the right height. So you don't want to cut it too much shorter. There's no overhang there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the scalloped edge on each dash, on each bit of vellum. And then you're going to stick them in a laminating sheet. I meant to say earlier as well, I use quite thin laminating sheets. I bought a pack once that were really thick and they were way too thick. The divider took up a lot of room. It was really bulky and it didn't laminate properly. So you want to use relatively thin ones. And then you just make sure you leave a little bit of overhang so you have room to make sure that your divider is going to be wide enough. And these ones, so I can normally fit 2 personal wides in a sheet like so, and then I'm gonna go and run them through my laminator and I'll be right back. Okay, that's them all gone through the laminator now. So I'm gonna go and use my paper cutter again, and I'm going to trim off the tops and bottoms. And then I'm going to cut here. Just going to cut through the middle. I'm not actually trimming that section. It's just to get them smaller like that so they're easier to handle. So I'm not actually cutting that edge until last. So doing the top and the bottom. Again, I'm lining up the lamination pouch part with the white. You do not want these pouches to open. If you cut through the lamination, it will open the pouch. Sometimes because of the thickness of this part, you will have to go a little bit further over than you'd like, but that's okay. And then to do the width, I line up this with this edge here with 4.75. And that's normally about the edge of the lamination, so works perfectly. Then I go ahead and use my scissors and trim up here. Again, being careful not to snip the lamination sheet. And then just trim around the words. I also use my scissors to round the edges. I have a corner rounder, but I found that it cuts through the lamination, so scissors is just better for this bit. And then you're just going to hole punch. I'm going to use my industrial hole punch, which is over there, and can't show you it because my camera doesn't move at the moment. But you can just use a regular hole punch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of these, and then I will be right back. Okay, so there we have them all punched. The good thing to remember about dividers, it doesn't matter if one sits ever so slightly higher or lower. They're not going to be like this in your planner. They're going to have things in between them. That's the point. So there is the set of 4 glittery dividers. I'm trying to get my light to stop glaring. Oh, it's just glare central, I'm afraid. There's a set of 4 glitter side tabs and the top loading today pockets. I am going to try making these at some point as pockets, but I like the vellum because I think it gives it that slight translucency, but they go with anything. So that's it. I hope my friend likes them. I hope this tutorial has been helpful. If it has, please give me a thumbs up, and a comment down below would be nice. If it hasn't, please comment down below and let me know what you'd like to know that would help with this, because that's as good as I can make it. But if you can tell me what it is that you need to know, I will do my very best to help you. So yeah, if any questions or any more advice anybody needs, please ask down below. You can find me on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram name just here, and feel free to ask any questions there. As always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!